Hello, this is for the folks who are in the community related to the Tift Heritage Foundation, the fund, and I'm Tana Von Isser. I am an arts representative and project manager with the Tift Heritage Group and Committee, and this is one of our honorary members, Kat Manton-Jones. So wanted to offer some opportunity for you to just share with us about your journey with 2 grant cycles. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Fantastic. So I was wanting to start with a question around reflecting on the 2 grant cycles you've had. And, as a big, broad question, what are your main takeaways from reflecting on either of the grant cycles or one in particular?
Sure. I would say that the first cycle that I participated in, I was newly retired and looking for ways to expand my art. And so that gave me permission to um, study what somebody else had done. And at that time, Bill Tift was still in the house and living his life.
Mm.
And he was super generous with me in terms of, sure, go down to the studio. Sure, look at all the paints, look at all the paintings, look at the sketchbooks. That was a very special time because I felt that I was able to know Janet. I
Yes.
had met Janet, but I didn't know Janet.
Mm.
And I wish I had the opportunity to have really spoken with her, especially after being able to see all of her work. But what it gave me was a huge foundation of, oh, okay, she's done this, and this is how her process. And I created a little body of work. I created,
Mhm.
I want to say 5 or 6 paintings based on things that I picked up from just studying her. The second time, I felt like I had spent those next 4 years developing my own voice and using some of what I had learned studying Janet Tiff's work the first time, but also going in my own direction and realizing that certain themes still worked for me, that I could tie back to Janet's influence and certain techniques. But I had a bigger appreciation of saying, this is who I am, this is what I've learned, this is what I'm doing, but this is how Janet influenced me, and this is how I want to present Janet to the
Mhm.
community.
Hmm.
So that my second cycle was much more community based.
Yeah, so you used a course to you kind of created a community through a course you led. Is that
Correct.
yes, beautiful.
Yes.
And it felt like the theme that I garnered was really experimental in nature and yet again your own your own flair, your own exploration, your own experimentation with that. With a
Yes.
few specific um sketches, and it went a little into the cosmology influence, or rather astrophysics influence that Janet got from Bill. I remember you honing in on a few of those. Correct. Yeah.
Yes. And the reason that felt more important this time was um because I had known Bill and Bill has since passed.
Yes.
And so that wanted me to kind of reach back and appreciate him in addition to Janet.
Mm,
And the idea of her work is very playful.
yes.
And I loved her honesty about her goofs,
Mm,
or not
right.
entirely successful
Yes.
is how it's termed on her website. And I thought not very many people would put that right on out there, and yet there she did it.
Yes, I love that, and how you actually encourage people to bring their reject or not entirely successful pieces and give it one more go. Maybe we can cut it up or reshape it or gesso over it, and like maybe there's something here still. Or and even if it does end up being a goof or a would you call it a
Darn, another
darn
wretched goose.
yeah
Dog.
dog. That's right. That's where too, like honoring that that's part of the process, especially when it comes to presenting our art, to be willing to also honor the things that don't often get displayed and yet are part of the process.
Definitely part
Yeah,
of the process.
that's
Yes.
so cool. Well, the other questions I wanted to just hone in on for the purpose of speaking to potential grantees in particular, I guess it's an opportunity to just offer anything that you find would be useful to a prospective grantee or a current grantee who's going through the process now. Any words of advice or wisdom that you might want to give them?
I would say that I personally am a very ambitious person and I dive headfirst into things. So using my depth as an example might feel intimidating to some
Mm,
people in the application process.
hmm.
And in looking at other grant recipients and their projects and stuff, everybody took a focus,
Yeah.
and they were different foci,
Hmm.
and they were all something personal. So my, I guess, suggestion would be, if you have some little thing that you think, I'd really like to try this, and but you haven't really fleshed it out, this is a great opportunity to focus, because then you're kind of boxed into a bit of a time frame
Hmm.
with a few parameters in terms of, oh, there's a midterm report and then there's a final report. So that kind of allows
Yeah.
somebody to structure, here's the idea, here's what I plan to do to explore it, and here's what I plan to do to apply my
Yeah.
explorations into a possible product.
I love that. I think that's really a beautiful point to emphasize for folks too, is that it's going to really, it can be expanded into these really elaborate projects. For some folks, it might be really simplified into one little facet of something you're interested in. Either way, this is a unique opportunity to use a little structure, that the added structure that the grant will give, a little added accountability and a sense of an audience of the committee and people that you are going to submit some evidence, some proof that you've been using this opportunity to develop your artistry. So it does offer a nice container for that exploration. And I agree, it really is about you honing in with what is most interesting to you. What's alive in you, what's sparking your fancy. So
Yes.
with that, we might have some continued conversations, but I appreciate being able to just share a few tidbits, takeaways, and suggestions. And we look forward to having more information come as you all participate in the journey, and feel free to reach out with any questions.
Thank you for the
Yeah,
opportunity.
thank
It's
you,
very
Kat.
nice to be able to speak to it.
Thank you so much.